At the outset, oh, on my behalf and my wife's behalf, we wish you and your families and your friends a very, very happy Deepavali. And I do hope this festival season brings the best to you and your families. God bless India and God bless the world. I'll now talk about China's demography. It's just falling off a cliff. This picture is from South China Morning Post. You look at old people down below, and young people are trying to push China up a slope, and that number is not enough. This is their own depiction, not my depiction. This is not my cartoon. The earlier one was my cartoon. This is theirs. Again from a Chinese handle. It's a statement of fact. It says aged population 65 and above reaches 220 million. It is approaching the number of children. The children in China are also around that much. And this is coming from the Ministry of Civil Affairs. By the end of 24, age population above 65 has increased to 220, nearing the number of people under 14 years old. And they came out with this nice little graph. In Chinese, I don't know. But when I saw, I said, yeah, this is the following is the number of children, and this is aged. They are both the same. Out of a total of 1.4 billion, zero point 0.4 billion is this variety, only 1 million is working variety. As a percentage, 40% are dependent on the others. So I ignored it. This came about 10-15 days back. Till I came across this beautiful article in Washington Post. China's demographic crisis means it's going to run out of workers. Okay. And this graphic explains in detail. So I'll get off and I'll keep going through with this. It says in 1990, okay, the median age of China was 23.7 years. Right. The average Chinese woman had 2.51 children, well above the replacement rate of 2.1 needed to keep the population stable. And this is a figure of 100. This is the aged people, working hand, and this is the young people. If you see, hardly any aged people were there in 1990. Now, come 2023, you see that this has increased. This and this are almost the same. This for 100 people. Okay? The demographic picture has changed substantially. The median age is now 39. The average age of a Chinese is 40 years. He's past this prime. Prime is 25, 26. Okay? And women are having one child and only one child. Replacement rate is 2.1. This will never catch up. And its population has peaked at 1.4 billion. And now it is declining. Okay? What will happen in 2050? You see the change. Nearly 50% of Chinese will be either aged or young. The number of young are less, aged is more. Only 50% of Chinese will be working. Now, this is the criticality, this period from 2023 to 2050. China is on an alarming trajectory. The United Nations projects that in 2050, China's population will fall to 1.26 billion. Okay, not very far. And the age distribution will be about 10% will be under 15 years old, about 40% will be over 60. So every able-bodied person will have to take care of one person, either old or young. It will worsen. The whole story will worsen by 2050. But we are not looking that far. I'm not looking at that far. I'm only going to look at it till 2030. And I'll come to that. And by 2100, it will be even worse. Because the population will go down to 633 million. And this is not stoppable. Please understand this. Okay. This is not stoppable. And this is their, yeah. And this is their, fertility rate. Where it is here, it is somewhere here. Now it is going further down, down and down. And there is no way it can be. They've said two children policy, 3 children policy, 4 children policy. You can have any bloody policy you want, but people are not prepared to get married. If people are not prepared to get married, even if they are prepared to get married, they're not prepared to have children. And I have no doubt about it, because if you remember, 10 days back, General Murthy came, he went to China, interacted with a lot of people, came back, and he said people are not prepared to marry. They have dating apps. They date, but not marry. Whatever fun they want to have, no children, no marriage. The marriage rate started falling last year. I showed that also last year or beginning of the year. It's now below 6 million marriages in a year. The figures are there in my head. So if people are not getting married, how will they bring children into society? And China is not a society where there are unwed mothers loafing around, unlike in Western society. And this is all this after. See, this is the time when 2-child policy was instituted and 3-child policy. Despite that, the fertility rate is going down. There are no incentives for childbirth there. On the other hand, these are the retirement ages. Women retire, say, at 55 years. And their life expectancy is 83. 55 to 83. Nearly 30 years. They are on post-retirement, retired people with no work. And hardly any pension. And as you keep getting older, you need more help, and there's no help. It's the same thing for men. Men are a little better off because they retire at 60. Now, China has a funny problem. They can, to increase the working hands, they want to increase the retirement age to 65 and 60. 65 for men and 60 for women. But if they do it, they don't have jobs for the younger chaps. Okay. So all this nonsense they're talking of, I'll have robots and I'll manufacture, and there's a limit to it. After that, it will collapse. Their labor force is shrinking like nobody's business. For every elderly person, in 2003, there were 9 workers to help that fellow. 2013, it was 7.6. Today, it is 4.4. 23. Now it will be 4. By 2030, it will be 3.5. Anyway, by 2050, it will be 1 to 1. They are sitting in a demographic cliff. The working age population in China is between 15 and 64. It's not like us. Okay. That has peaked at a figure of 1.01 billion in 2015. In 2025, that figure has come down to 980 million. They have lost 30 million working hands already. This year, we're talking. By 2030, this figure is going to come down to 940 million. Because another 40 million they're going to lose. And by 2035, that cliff starts going down. They'll lose another 60 million. But it's working hands. They're just simply not having. If you're losing 5 to 10 million people per year, you can't have an export upon manufacturing economy going. Shrinking, it's just not the number of shrinking people and quantity of the number of people who work. It is also the dependency ratio. These chaps who are shrinking have to support more number of people who are depending on them, old age and young. Think by 2030, they will have 300 million people over 60. That is 20% of the population. No healthcare, no pensions, no social safety net. This is a one-way street. It's not changing. So what is the net effect of this? Net effect of this is what? You think that PLA will be very great? You will have fighters in PLA. Forget it. They'll with this kind of a demography, people will not be willing to join PLA. People won't be prepared to sacrifice their lives. They will look. If I were a father in China, I will say, don't go to PLA. Look after me. Who will look after me? So this is a problem which will not go away. And I have spoken to you from three different sources. This is a different analysis altogether. And this is a wider analysis of many things. Some part of it I'll repeat when we come to the economics. But there are problems, and there are huge problems. We need to understand this. And they're not running away. And the Chinese, I won't say economy, the nation is falling off a demographic cliff. I keep saying this. At the cost of repetition, people say, yaar, theek hai, bewkoof aadmi hai. But mark my words, 2030. Very interestingly, there's another article I read from a financial analyst today. Some figures I've taken from him and quoting to you, who says by 2030 it will be the critical time. The window closes for China in 2030 for whatever it wants to achieve. After that, China is not the master of its own destiny. The demographics will be the master of China's destiny after 2030. Whatever they have to do now. That is why I keep saying this 5 years is a critical period. 2025 to 2030. If we have a problem with China, it will happen in the next 5 years. After that, it won't happen. And I've always said 27, 28, 29 critical. After 2 years, we'll have a criticality with China. Whether it will come through Pakistan or USA or I don't know. We'll see as we go along. Criticality 28, 29, 30. Maybe 31, 32, but my guess is already people are talking of demographics. Just imagine the problem has just started. 3 years back, when I used to speak of demographics, people used to say I'm an idiot. People used to say, yeah, what are you talking? They themselves are saying it's not a problem. Till one day they started saying it's a problem. And this problem, which was supposed to happen in 2030, has already happened. We don't know how many more false figures are in this. And if there are more false figures, the problem is going to get compounded. It's like an express train hurtling at you. In fact, I'm reminded of a story, right, of China, about China, where there's one lady who stayed in China who says China is like a train which is going at top speed. The last bogie is burning and the wind is behind the train. Because the wind is behind the train, the last bogie which is on fire, the flames are hitting in the front. And to avoid this, the last but one bogie from catching fire, the train has to go faster. It can't stop. So the Chinese train is trying to go faster and faster. But that last bogie is all burning. That's China for you. And that is the Chinese demography which is falling off a cliff.